Tell us why you think voters need to cast a ballot in this election.
I
What are
think-
you going to do to promote this?
I think voting is one of the most important things. It's why our ancestors died in world wars, so that we have the right to vote. I think if you're not voting, you don't have a right to sit in your living room and complain to people about why things aren't going the way you should. I think voting is the most important right we have. If you don't vote, you're not being heard, and that's what democracy is all about. And I think everybody should vote. Even if I don't get elected, I still want to see the most votes ever cast in a municipality election.
Thank you. The region's budget last year was $700 million. What experience do you have in the development and stewardship of a strategic fiscal plan?
I don't have much experience in that, which is really a hard thing. That's the one thing that's going to be tricky for me in the city council, is learning all the things. But I think with the $700 million that we had budgeted, I don't think it was spent correctly. I don't think it was spent wisely, and I think there's a lot of improvements to be made.
Thank you. What do you think makes an effective councillor?
I think becoming an effective councillor would be listening to the people. I think that's the most important part. I think there should be no hidden agendas. I think you should listen to the people and vote how the people would want you to vote, not have a personal issue with anything. I think I'm there to represent the people in my constituents, and if you don't do that, you're not an effective councillor.
Great, thanks. The next question. Describe how becoming a councillor has and or will fit into and alter your current life schedule.
Well, right now I'm a shift worker, so I have 6 months of the year off, which gives me lots of time and lots of holidays, and I want to help the community. I think the more busier I am helping the community, the more I'll be able to get out there and do those special things that councillors get to do. Go to all the public events, get to help people. All the people in Fort McMurray are busy as well as the councillors. You can't live off a councillor's wage, so you're forced to do something else beside it. But if you have a councillor in that knows the community, helps the community, then you don't have to spend as much time with all the bureaucracy and the paperwork. And it'll just really be busy, and it'll be great.
Very good, thank you. Talk about social responsibility and economic sustainability and how you see it impacting this community.
Well, I think our social responsibility is to really help the needy in this town. I think there's a lot of single parents. I think there's a lot of homeless people, and I think they need a lot of help, and I think we got to divert more attention towards them. I don't think we're spending it on the right programs, but we got to make sure it's the right programs. The time we spend helping the poor and the needy is one of my major concerns, and I think everybody should go to bed with a full belly, and everybody should eat breakfast, and I think that a lot of people struggle with that, and the community as a whole should all get together and just make it a better place for all nonprofits to help everybody, from the food bank to the Unity House to the homeless. It's all got to be worked on.
Thank you. What needs do you think the outlying communities have, and how do they fit into the priorities of the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo?
I think we need more community, I don't know if it's programs or events. I'd like to see more programs for the youth so they have something to do besides hang around and do nothing. I think we need to focus on making sure that everybody feels like Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 4. I think we should all just feel like one big community. Even though we all have different needs, I think we all got to look at it responsibly and realize that no matter what, we're all Fort McMurrayites, and we all want this place to be better for everybody, our children and our grandparents.
The next question. In what ways are you attached to this community and region? How will this serve you in your role as councillor?
Well, I've lived in Fort McMurray since I was 2 years old. I've done all my schooling here. I've worked here. I've played here. I've done everything here. The people I know in the community really have a lot of good ideas for me, and everyone I've talked to said, you should run for council. So that's why I decided to run. I have no hidden agendas. I'm not doing it to try and get land opened up for anything besides the bettering of our community. And I think if I become a councillor, I will do that. I will represent Fort McMurray and the people of Fort McMurray.
There may be times as a council member when you do not personally support a decision made by council. Tell us about a specific experience when you did not agree with the decision, but you worked with a team to implement it.
All the times at work, we face all kinds of safety issues, whether it be from the littlest things to the biggest things, like putting pylons out on a 2-foot hose that no one could really trip on, but you still have to put them out for safety issues. And you might think that's ridiculous, but you know, in the long run, if it stops one person from hurting themselves or anything, even though you think it's a total farce and it doesn't need to be done, you still have to look at the better of everybody. You gotta make sure that you support the team. You gotta know what's best, and you gotta know what the people think, and as a team, you either work together or you're not a team.
Great, thank you. Tell us about a time when you acted as an ambassador for the positive image of this community.
Well, like I said, growing up in Fort McMurray, I always tried to do the best I could. I was still a youth, so I did get into my fair share of trouble as a child, but I used to leave town all the time for basketball, volleyball, soccer, golf, all the events we'd go to. We were always stressed, you know, you're representing Fort McMurray, and you want people to be proud of Fort McMurray. You don't want people to walk down the street and say, oh, there's those Fort McMurray guys. You want people to, hey, there's the Fort McMurray guys. You want people to be proud, and you want people to know that you're proud of the community and that you back them.
Great, thanks. This is our last question.
Perfect.
Based on your observations of past council, what will you do differently to improve this council's effectiveness?
I'll listen more. I'll listen twice as much as I speak. Like I said, I'm not as experienced as a counselor, so I'm going in there learning. I'm gonna have an open mind. I'm gonna express my feelings, but I'm also going to let them know what the people I talk to within the community feel. I'm never gonna go in there selfishly, and I'm never gonna go into council thinking for a hidden agenda. I never ever want that. I just want what's best for the community, and that's all I ever want. And I just think the past councils, I don't want to say anything bad, it seems like they butted head about the littlest things, like 2-hour conversations about a name of a street is just, it's wasting time, it's wasting money, and it's the community, and you got to work together. If you don't work together, it's not working at all. And I just want the council to work. I always found that for the last month or so, I've been watching the past council meetings, and I found there's a lot of headbutting going on, and a lot of little things over little things, that if they just talked it out and really made an effort to listen to everybody's side and everybody's opinion, that they could come to a lot more of agreements.
Great, Travis. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time this evening and for answering our questions.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity for you guys to hear me.